All right, we got our piece semi-installed, you might say. The problem you have when you're working with old parts versus old parts instead of buying new parts and putting them on the old parts is that you're working with old junk. That's the problem you have. And you got to be very, very precautious when you're working with this, because this stuff here, I got it fit on there really nice and I'm really happy with the way it fit. But, it's just like fragile, you might as well say antique. Now, I don't want you to be alarmed when you start doing this, even if you are a semi-half-ass good welder. When you're using old parts with old parts, it's gonna look like it's old. But the trick on getting a good weld is the penetration. We don't care what it looks like, because we're gonna be grinding all this down. Now, what I've been doing is I've been spot welding it. Okay, I started down there, I put a spot weld down there, I came over here, and then I had to get this corner right here, because if you remember the yellow car that we got this off of, it was crushed in this corner and I had to like hammer and dolly it out. So what I did is I took my dent puller and I was pulling up on it while I was welding it. Because remember when we took this piece out of the car, this piece of the roof caved in on us and it went down. And another thing is I went ahead and put my flange, yes I am. You're right. I am actually repeating myself and I'm going over this more than once. That's for your benefit, not mine. So please watch, listen, and learn and pay attention is what I'm asking now.
Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
And now, as you can see by putting the flange on the bottom, it has given us support for our flimsy roof panel to stabilize itself. And I went ahead and screwed our lip on first. You can see that. I went ahead and put Tech screws. As a matter of fact, these are the only Tech screws I had, the ones with the heads on them. And that's good for like if you're putting a floor in. But when you're working on a contained area like this, these are the screws you really want. Now, we've already welded this corner up. It was pretty mangled and bashed even on the parts car, but we went ahead and got that done. We're gonna clean all this up, and when we get done cleaning that up, it's gonna look like brand new. So what I'm gonna do now is, if you look right here, I actually have a cup full of water and it's got a rag in it. We're gonna take that rag and wring it out, and then as I do my random spot welding back and forth, do you see what I'm saying? I'm not gonna stitch weld it and go rah, and then over here rah. I'm just gonna put little spot welds, and I'm just gonna keep putting them spot welds on there until it finally fills everything in and it's all welded up. The reason I'm doing that is because I don't want this roof to warp. We got a nice clean straight roof panel here. We don't want this thing to warp and cause more damage to it than what was already done and give us more work than what we need. So if you look right here, here's our wet rag. We're gonna go ahead and set that down there. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna start spot welding randomly. And I'm gonna go from here, I'm gonna put a weld down here, then I'll come over here and I'll put one, and then I'll come back here, and then, just randomly put them in. And as I spot weld, I'm gonna take my rag and then I'll quench those welds as I do it, and it will stretch the metal out. All right, it'll stretch the metal, because what's going to happen is when we weld it, the heat's going to suck it in. And then when I put the cold rag on that hot weld, it's going to pull it back out and stretch the metal, and that's what we want to do on this particular job. So I got my rag right here, and now we're going to go ahead and start welding it on just like this. Get a couple welds and just cool them down just like that. I don't have a lot of water on my rag, it's just enough to cool the welds down. That's all I want. And then we'll come over here. We'll get a couple welds right here. And we're just going to attach it with our cold rag. Just like that. We don't want to use a lot of water. And we're going to come back over here. Cool those welds down. Keep them cool. Come up here on this corner. Keep those welds down cool. See what's going on here? Okay, we don't want that heat to shrink. We want that cold to stretch. But you see the situation here is when you're using that rag, how it actually comes out, and it works pretty good. You can see we don't have any warpage going this way. Got a little bit of shrinkage in this area, but that's okay. We want a little bit of shrinkage to do our body work with. So I did have a little bit of warpage right here where this corner meets, and that's because we got heat going this way, and it all meets this corner. So we'll take our dent puller and we'll pull that out. No big problem with that angle there. But other than that, it's looking really good. The next thing I got to do is I got to finish spot welding our lip down to this section here. I got to weld that piece up over there, and then we got to clean all this up and move down the line to the next rust repair. So there you go. Like I said, it looks ugly, but when we get done and grind it all down, it's going to look beautiful. Take a good look at it now, because when I get done with it, you won't even know what the hell hit you in the face. I got to get this welded right here. Once we get all that done, hammer and dolly down, come over here, tie that back in where it goes, and then we got to fix these rust holes right here, one on each corner. Big repair on a little small car. Believe me, this is a big repair. This repair right here, I've already been working on this thing for a day, almost a day and a half. So this is a big situation, just doing this little section right here. And the reason is because once again, it's very flimsy and cautious. It's a very cautious area to do this kind of work. So, wow, what a big job. working on the Honda, the 1977. Now, we have fixed some rust on it, and I thought I was making accomplishments on this car. I thought I was, you know, getting it done. So I move up to the front of the car to fix that rust spot right there and this rust spot right here. So I went ahead and cut the rubber out. Now this is our windshield we're looking at. I'm going to go ahead and pull that off because this is our rubber. Now the owner of the car has new rubber, but we ran into a situation that is not fucking good. So if you look right here, you can see this has got to be cut out, which is fine. And you can see that there's paint right here, which looks good. But when we come over to this side here, we start seeing this surface rust. That surface rust isn't looking too good because that looks kind of nasty. So I went ahead and peeled the rubber out here. I went ahead and cut some of the rubber out. I'm gonna get my flashlight for this. And I want you to take a good look under there. We got rust holes underneath the roof skin of the car. So, yeah, not fucking good at all. Not fucking good at all. So we were only gonna fix this right here, this little area. And now that we have found this right here, and we're not talking minor shit here, we're talking, you can see the screwdriver pretty much goes in all the fucking way. I'm gonna have to remove the glass out of the car, and then once I get the glass out, we're gonna have to see how much rust and rot we got on our roof lip here, our fucking pinch weld. And then we're gonna have to go out to the parts car and cut sections out of that car to put in this car. So this is where the parts car really comes in handy, because if we didn't have parts car action going on, we'd have to go ahead and make all these little parts right here. So this is actually fucking depressing to find this, but this is a situation that says this car did not come to my shop paint ready. All right, it didn't come in primer, it came in paint. It was an understanding with the owner that I stripped the car down to bare metal before we talk or discuss any further prices, angles, what have you. And the owner is bound and determined that he wants this car done. The owner wants this car to be restored no matter what it takes or measures that encountered. This rust here is pretty fucking bad, so here we go, look at this. Look at this right here. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Very, very, extremely fucked up. And I'm just guessing that when we get over here to this section, and I can already see it, you can see right here, there's a hole down on the corner here. So we're gonna end up replacing part of this cowling right here. This is actually welded on, this is not a bolt-on item. And that's gonna be another issue that we're gonna have to handle. So we're gonna have to go ahead and take this windshield out of the car. Now, I'm gonna remind everybody this is a California car, or it's supposed to be. This is supposed to be some bigwig California fucking car. And this is just proof and verification that it depends on what part of California you live in that is gonna tell you your car's gonna be rust free. So if you're out there looking for a car and they're claiming that that car is from California, don't bank on it that it doesn't have rust. Don't fucking do it. Because if you think the ocean water down in California doesn't get into the metal of the vehicles that you're driving, you're fucking crazy. You're fucking crazy. Let's get this windshield out and see what we got underneath that. So what I'm gonna do to accomplish this job, I'm just gonna take my knife and I'm gonna go ahead and cut all the rubber out around the edge here, and then we'll take the glass out easily. We don't want to crack this glass, we don't want to break it. I'm sure that this glass is a rare glass, and we can't afford to buy any more glass. Now that we found all this shit here, money's starting to pinch pennies, and pennies are starting to be pinched. So the easy way to get that out is just go around it, just like you see me doing here. We're going to cut that rubber out, just like that. You see there? So we're going to cut that rubber off to get the windshield out. And then as you're removing the glass on these old cars, make sure to keep all of the metal trim. This is plastic trim inside here, but on the corners and in the center of the glass itself, you got 3 metal pieces that go in to cover the ends of the glass. So you want to make sure to keep those and bag and tag those, because I'm sure you're not going to be able to find those at your local hardware store or auto parts store, such as, yes, you named it, that place. Windshield right here. There you go. That's all we got to put. Just like that. And then we're going to take our parts just like this. We're going to get them into the bag just like that. And now we are ensured that we will not lose our hard to find trim pieces that we need when we put the windshield back in the car. So let's go ahead and get this piece of shit out of here. See if we can do that without breaking the fucking glass. Because I'm sure we got a real fucking mess up inside here. A real fucking mess. And you can see that this glass is the original glass. It's been in here a long time, and it's being a pain in the ass to get out. So, fucking bitch is glued up in there. Motherfucker. I'm gonna have to run my knife on the inside of this son of a bitch as well as the outside. Already see that. Okay, and that is what we want right there. This baby is a safe haven. All right, now we can go ahead and remove our rubber, throw it in the trash, and concentrate on repairing the rest of the roof. I got to go get some plastic, some big thick ABS plastic. We're going to cover that up so we don't get trash inside the car. And then we'll finish our journey on the roof of the 1977 Honda Civic from California, the rust-free state. Yeah. Question. Come come on over here, bud. What do you think of these little Hondas? What do you think of these little California cars? They're pretty real popular in California because they get such good gas mileage. And you know they're considered a classic car.
Well, I wouldn't consider it a classic car. I'd
Well-
consider it a throwaway car.
So you're thinking it's a throwaway car.
Right.
So you're thinking this is like first gen throwaway situation going on here.
Right.
Right. But the thing is, out in California, these are hot little items. Everybody wants them because they don't have to worry about the emissions control, and it's getting 45 miles to a gallon on gas, dude.
What year is this?
It's a 76. It's the second generation of the Honda Civic.
It's hard to believe that that's a California car.
That's what I was saying. The car's from California, but with all the massive bodywork we found on it, I'm thinking this car's from somewhere else.
This car came out of Chicago to California.
I don't know, dude, because the other car in the back, it's from California, and that thing is rotted and rusted all the way across here, dude. It's in worse shape than this one is. So,
Well, that's what makes it a throwaway car, is that
yeah.
you didn't find much in the way of rust protection.
Well, another thing, I mean, how much did these things cost new? What, $5,000 new or something?
Probably less than that.
Yeah. And I will tell you one thing, the metal on these is like metal that they use today.
Real
A sheet
thin.
metal.
Yeah.
Very thin.
Well, Pinto in
It's like a drummer's dream. It's like skin on a snare drum, dude.
a Pinto in 76 was around $3,000 or under.
Yeah.
So
I'm
that's-
thinking this was like $5,000 new, bud.
I doubt it
but-
that much.
We've done some major rust repair on it. We went ahead and fixed all this rust up here. It's ready for filler. All right, we had to weld these tabs in here for our little, corner pieces for our molding, so we got that done. And then we had some rust over here. Look at this. So this is where our parts car came in handy, John.
Yeah,
The parts car was $450 or something like that. Well worth the money when you're working on one of these old things, due to the fact that you'll never find a roof skin and you'll never find pieces that are already molded and ready to go. You know what I'm saying?
and our original.
And are original, exactly. So the parts car served its purpose because of the rust. Now, if you look up here, each corner of this thing was rotted. All right, so I had to repair those. That was a bitch.
Well, I was looking at this, Pete, you know, they've got a seam down in the bottom here.
Uh-huh.
And so any water that leaks past
I know,
that
it's
rubber
crazy.
is going to sit in there.
It's crazy,
It's
dude.
going to rust it out.
So what we're going to do to solve that problem, we're going to take some window urethane. And before we put the rubber in there, we're going to fill this with urethane and then glue that rubber down. What that's going to do, that's going to water air seal that gap, and it's going to glue the rubber in there, so that will permanently be airtight fixture situation.
And you do that after it's all painted, right?
Right, that'll be the last thing we do when we put the rubber on it.
Are you going to send this out for
What?
solder blasting or anything?
No, man, I stripped this thing by hand. This is a hand job here, buddy.
Yeah.
Now,
Maybe in more ways than one.
yeah, exactly. That's my thoughts. Now, another thing we got is he sent another car out here that we're going to restore, and with that car came a parts car. So, if you look at these doors right here, you can see these doors are pretty well fucked up. And he was actually really shocked about that. Now, open that door. Can you feel that hinge down there?
Yeah.
Something's wrong with that hinge. Now, he said he replaced that hinge with a brand new hinge. And is the key in there? Let me have that key. I hear it buzzing. Okay, there you go. But anyway, he said he replaced that hinge down there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the doors off of the parts car.
So you have two parts cars and
We got two parts cars and we got two
to
cars we're going to restore. Exactly. That's right. Now, another thing I didn't like is this hood. Now, this is an aftermarket hood that he said that he bought from the body shop. But the problem we have, and I don't want to push on it, well, you can see right here, look at that.
oil can.
So we're going to have to fix that, of course. There's a dent right in here. Once we pull that dent out, that'll take that situation out, and I think we'll be able to fix the hood on there.
Don't you have to shrink that metal?
We're going to have to do something. Heat it up and then take a wet rag, bam, hit it with the wet rag, and it'll shrink it back up and fix that. Now, one more thing, if you look at the bottom of this car right there, John, we got to replace that core support.
Right.
That's this thing right here.
That's been an issue because you don't have.
Well, now that he sent the other parts car out, we got a core support that's from California, which is rust free. So
I know you were considering cutting and welding.
Yeah, we don't want to do that, so we're going to go ahead and replace that core support on this. But what our main concern is, right, yeah, that's not looking good, is it? It's like, it feels like there's a high spot here, but there's not, because if you look over there, it's kind of square too. So we don't want to push on that as much as we can because we want to save that. I'm thinking it's from this dent right here. You can see where there's Bondo. When this thing got hit here, it fucked it up here. So
they painted over the oil can?
I guess so, because, you know, of course, this hood was dented up in the front where the owner ran into a deer, and we got to refix that. But, you know, he's had this car since like 79 or something like that. So this is like his little baby child. A lot of people are looking at this car thinking, you know, I wouldn't restore that pile of shit. I wouldn't do that.
Oh,
that's a clown car.
Did I say that out loud? Sorry.
Yeah, that's a clown car. It belongs in a circus. But, you know, let's really look at it this way. You know, it's his car, and this is what he wants. So, you know, and how many times have you seen a 1976 Honda restored versus, let's say, the 66 Chevelle? You know, it's kind of a unique situation to see another car of another make and model restored versus always looking at the same old thing over and over and over again. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like your Morgan. If we were documenting your Morgan, that would be more interesting to watch than the 1966 Chevelle because there's hundreds of videos on that already.
Right.
So this is a nice little situation. We're going to make it look good. But we were just getting ready. I was just getting ready to go ahead and fill this in. I went ahead and grinded it down. It's ready for filler. And what I'm going to do to fill that in is we're going to go ahead and use this product right here. This is called Dynaglass. This is like a Bondo substance that has fiberglass strands in it. And this is used only for filler only. This is a filler type Bondo. It is not a finished Bondo. And it is made to fill in big areas to start your body work out. It's very, very pliable, it's flexible, yet on the other hand, it's very hard, secure, and lasts a very long time. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take our Dynaglass and we're gonna go ahead and mix that up so we can use it as a filler compound to go ahead and level out the spots where we filled in as we replaced our rust. And the thing that I like about this product here is that it takes your normal, average, everyday hardener. Now, the hardener you want to use on this is you don't want to use the blue hardener. It's better to go ahead and use the red hardener because if you use blue hardener, you can see this is green and you will not notice when it changes color. So it does come with the hardener when you buy these little quart cans. And if they give you blue hardener, tell them that you really prefer to have red. That way, when you mix it up, you'll be able to tell that it's mixed thoroughly. You're going to see that here in a minute. And then we're going to go ahead and use a medium-sized spreader. Now, the spreader doesn't have to be brand new because we are not going to worry about doing a finish coat. Once again, all this is for is a filler coat. And if you watch real close, you can see that this will start turning brown on us from using the red hardener. Okay, so we're going to take our filler compound that we just mixed up and we're just going to go ahead and smooth it on there just like it was cement. Because all this is for is a filler, that's it. And what this is doing, this is helping us so we don't have to use as much Bondo. And if you watch close, you can see that I'm using my spreader as a tool, okay? And I'm putting it on there very, very thick because I want to be able to have enough on there to come back and use my cheese grater, and I'm going to show you that when we get ready to do that. You want to be very careful, try not to get it in all the grooves and the cracks of the vehicle, just put it where you want it, because once this stuff gets hard, it gets hard. And I can already see I'm going to have to put another coat on here, John.
This right side's sunk down quite a bit.
Well, that was from not just being dented in. There was something wrong with the roof on this car, but also when we welded it up, it's from the heat.
Distortion.
watching D.I.Y. Automotive School. Classes don't stop till you know everything.